Hi, Al Green here for the six-figure selling system. You know, we all buy stuff. Do you like to buy stuff? I love to buy stuff. And I appreciate it when I have a professional salesperson that really knows how to handle a major purchase that I want. Now, are you that person for the customer that you're targeting? Couple things here. All of us have some kind of a talent, something that we're good at. In my case, I have had a few talents that have come in to use when I was doing my sales. It was good creativity, it was good conversation, and also a way to be delivering the interest, which is what I specialized in doing. And that's something I want to pass on to you. But with the system, you've got to understand that no system is going to work unless you implement it. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't put it to use, and in the six-figure selling system, I'm going to teach you some techniques that if you use them, they will work guaranteed. But you got to remember this, to use something, you have to sometimes practice. But some of us are natural and we can just talk, and that's a good thing because my forthcoming book, You Can Talk, You Can Sell, talks about how talking is what you do. I knew a guy that was a client of mine. He was a salesperson that wanted to learn how to beef up his sales. And I told him to find his unique character, something that was strictly him, so that he could then use being himself without having to learn to be a different person on how to be an excellent salesperson. And he told me this little story. He said when he was going into a customer, like a company, and we're talking to mainly one-on-one salespeople, whether you're doing it on Zoom or you're doing it on WebEx or possibly in person, most likely in person. He would treat the person as if he just landed in a foreign country and he didn't speak the language and he had to learn to get the lay of the land and learn how the people are, what their culture is, and what they like to talk about. And then he would learn a little bit about the company that he was selling to or the customer he was selling to, and then he would talk to them on their level. In other words, if you talk to me, I don't want you to tell me the whole story because otherwise we become talking heads. And we don't want that, do we? What we want is we want to be able to communicate. Communication is the key. And communication is what gets us to bond with those people and develop a rapport. And just like this, would you rather buy from a friend, somebody that you can trust, or some stranger that shows up at your door? The idea is to be present in front of these people. And yes, depending on consultative selling, sometimes it could take months, and in some cases even more than a year. In the case of one of my customers, I spent 2 years dropping in on them for no sales at all. And every time I was there, I dropped off a business card and a catalog for the company I was representing. And I never heard a thing. I kept calling them. They refused my calls. This went on for years. But every time I was at that building, I went into that company and I handed them my card and I left a catalog. One day I got a call from the purchasing agent who said, I don't know who you are, but I must have about 40 of your catalogs and a stack of your business cards. Why do you keep coming by here? And I said, because I am the perfect supplier to your needs and I want to talk to you about it. And she goes, well, we happen to have some needs. And this was at a Friday at about 4:30 when most people go home. And she said, if you could get here by 5 o'clock, I've got a big order I need to place and I can't get in touch with anybody. You're the only one that ever picked up the phone. So I said, it's going to take me about 40 minutes to get there. It would be like 5:10, 5:15. She goes, all right, you got till 5:30. So I showed up and this person who ignored me for 2 years decided that suddenly I was her new best friend because I gave her not only the biggest order that I had of that month, but prices that she couldn't get from other suppliers because you can't get a discount if you can't get in touch with your sales rep. And that customer stayed with me for another 2 years until I moved on to another position. But look at how that worked. It took time. It took a long time. But once she saw that I was serious, why did you keep dropping off catalogs? And I said, because I wanted to get your attention, and I finally got it. And she laughed at me, and she basically said, you have a way about you that is very different. She goes, how did you know I would even want to talk to you? And I said, well, I really didn't, but I took a chance and I kept coming by and leaving you my catalog. And now you called me because you have something in need and you can see I'm ready on the spot. Now, most people on a Friday at 4:30 are on their way home. And I got there at 5:15 and I stayed there till 7 o'clock that night. I called my wife and I said, I'm going to be late for dinner. I'm working. And I took a absolutely enormous order. And then the next month too. And she stayed with me and kept buying and adding on products for at least 2 more years. That was so worth it all the times I dropped by, because what did I care if I met somebody or not? When I just dropped off a catalog and a card, and I just kept going back and going back. I learned their culture by doing that too, because I saw how the office was laid out, and I was talking to the receptionist who told me a few little things about the company and where their shipping department was, and I went down to the shipping department to check it out. And all I did is I talked to the shipping clerk and I said, where do you receive like major furniture and things? And he pointed me to the dock and he explained that, this is how it is. This is how we bring things in. And I said, who's in charge of checking it to make sure that the purchasing agent gets the inventory added onto their assets? And he basically said to me, you're going to talk to a gal named Marion. And I said, yeah. Well, I didn't call Marion. She was the one I kept leaving my cards for. And she's the one who, after 2 years, called me. Now, getting to know the culture was a big part of it, because I said to her, do you want me to ship it down to Jake down in your shipping department? And she said, you know Jake? I said, yes, I do. And she's like, how do you know Jake? And I said, because I've been to this building 100 times. It's something that's very simple like that. It's so simple to do. And yet it does pay off in the long run. And no, you can't win everybody every single time. But over a long period of time, you can win the ones that you want if you are diligent and you keep at it. And just like my mentor teaches me, never give up. Just keep on going. Keep on going and keep on going, and don't ever give up. If you have any questions, I'll look forward to seeing you in my seminar coming up, the workshop called the 6-Figure Selling System. Please click on the link and register. I will see you then.